show up, don't go down. Now, walk away. Not too big. Okay, so today we are going to do Common Lit. We're going to do From Pit to Pond. First, if at any time you have a question, please type it in the chat box. If the question is just to me, make sure you change it from to everyone to who you want to send the chat to, and I will answer it. Now, this session is being recorded, so if you have difficulty doing Common Lit at the same time you're doing this Zoom session, please keep in mind I am going to have it on our YouTube channel. If you had the opportunity to go on our YouTube channel, I posted videos on how to submit work in case you're having difficulty posting pictures and submitting it for any of your classes. For example, taking pictures of your notes, your assignments, and posting. We did take videos yesterday and we posted on the YouTube channel.
Huh?
I will post this message.
Yeah.
I will post this video on the YouTube channel in case you need to go back to it later today and refer back to it to make sure you get a better grade on Common Lit. Also, if at any time you have a question about something regarding something else that came into your mind, like say you're thinking about it, some of your assignments, and you didn't understand it, go ahead and put that in the chat and I will answer it as quickly as I can, okay? If at any time you have questions, you're feel free to ask the question. We have a wonderful chat room right here where you guys can type the questions if you need to. All right, I don't see anybody waiting in the waiting room, so I'm going to go ahead and get started. At this time, I'm going to start sharing the screen to our Common Lit article, From Pit to Pond. If I can find it. Get out of the way. Can everyone see the article From Pit to Pond right now? Thumbs up if you can. You guys can do a figurative thumbs up, or you can actually hit the thumbs up. Okay, good. There, I can see you too. All right, good. All right. Okay. All right. Let's get started, shall we? Y'all ready? Okay. Here we go. Okay. From Pit to Pond, and the question, I don't know who has music playing in the background, but it is annoying me. Just saying. Thank you. Even if you have to mute yourself, I don't care about that either. Hold on, y'all can't even see me. Okay, so Highlights Magazine, we talked about that before. She's actually talking about a real hole that she dug in her backyard, which is really kind of cool. She dug this pit, this hole so deep that at the bottom was clay, like you would see at a baseball field, the orange clay that you have at the baseball field. And what it did was it created a natural bottom to this pit that the rain water would not sink down into the earth anymore. And it was kind of cool that it sunk down and the water started filling up this pit like almost like your own homemade pool in the backyard, which was kind of cool. Now, she did this pit in her backyard and it became a beautiful pond. Now, let's read and see what kind of changes she made. What changes did they make to this pit? So first they dug the pit and then things started happening. When my dad began building our home, he needed dirt to fill in around the base of the house. He hired someone with a backhoe to dig up more dirt. Dig down there, Dad told the man, pointing to a low spot in our backyard. then haul the dirt up here by the house. First, now look how this is structured. Look how it's structured. You can tell how it's structured or organized when you see these headings right here. So look at this first heading. First, a big pit. Now look at the second heading. Next, frogs and lily pads. Then baby turtles. Then finally a pond. So it's like called sequential order, and these headings help you do that. So this is told in sequential order. Sequential order. Does everyone see that? Thumbs up if you see it, please, children.
Yes, I see it.
Thank you.
Wait, can you hear me?
Yeah.
I can hear you.
Okay, good.
Okay. All right. Here we go. Soon our backyard had a huge hole. This pit was like a big bowl. Someone needs to mute their button because I'm hearing all kinds of conversations. Thank you. Soon our backyard had a huge hole. This pit was like a big bowl. Soon our backyard had a huge hole. This pit was like a big bowl with a clay bottom. What kind of bottom? Clay. The clay kept rainwater from draining away quickly into the earth, so the pit slowly filled with water. So guiding question number 1, the narrator's dad dug a hole to create a pond, plant a tree, use the dirt, build a basement. Someone unmute yourself and tell everybody the answer. Go ahead, Reese.
It was to use the dirt.
Yep, very good. Letter C. Okay, moving on. Look how pretty that picture is. That's their backyard pit, by the way. That is, Jaden, I swear to goodness, or Justin, do not draw on my screen. Do not. If I could, I'd reach through this screen right now. You hear me? Lord, children. Next, frogs and lily pads. Before long, a few frogs moved into our pit, croaking noisily. The frogs moved in. Did they put the frogs in there? No. Frogs knew about the water and they went to the pit and they started living there. Frogs like lily pads, I told Mom. My grandmother dug up 2 water lilies from her small garden pool. Weigh the rocks down with small rocks, Grandma said. Then gently toss them into the water. Whoops. Okay. Once the plants take root in the dirt, they'll start growing toward the sunlight. So the girl said, you know what, Mom? Frogs like lily pads. Well, Grandma has some lily pads. Grandma gave her some lily pads and they threw them into the pond. So do you hear how they're changing? First they dug the pit. Now they put some lily pads in there for the frogs. Pit, frogs, lily pads. Then baby turtles. What? Baby turtles? One day in late summer, I discovered dozens of baby snapping turtles crawling from the tunnels in our hard-packed driveway. They were so tiny that they tripped over blades of grass. Will they find our pit? I wondered excitedly. I'd read that when baby turtles are born, they already know that they need to find water. Hey, you know what that sounds like, guys? It sounds like what sea turtles do when they hatch. When sea turtles leave their nest at the beach and they crawl toward the ocean waves, it sounds like these snapping turtles do the same thing. They can sense where the water is and start crawling toward the water. I'd read that when baby turtles are born, they already know that they find water. Sure enough, the baby turtles scrambled clumsily down our hill to our water-filled pit. Guiding question number 2.
It's D.
D, okay. Which type of plant or animal does not come to live in the water-filled pit? Turtles live there, water lilies live there, frogs live there, but birds do not live there. That is correct. Do not live there. Good job, guys.
Cool.
All right, now look at the next subheading. Finally, a pond. My best friend returned from a fishing trip and called me. I've got a bucket of leftover bait fish. Can I put them in your pond? Pond? Until that moment, I'd never really thought of the big bare pit in our backyard as a pond. By the next spring, melting winter snows made the water level. Weeds and wild flowers sprang up along the banks. Now, if you guys don't know what banks are, that just means the edges of the pond, which she called it a pit, Now it is a pond because it's fuller. Okay. Lily pads sprouted and blossomed. Frogs, fish, and turtles played in the murky water. I had to admit that our big pit had turned into a beautiful small pond. How has the pit changed?
I think it's A.
Okay. It has started to support wildlife. The animals eventually leave. The water becomes too dirty, or it becomes a swimming pool. It doesn't become a swimming pool. I'm going to have to go.
It's A.
Okay, good. All right. Now let's move on.
It won't let me go.
All right. Hold on a minute. I want to make sure everybody's in here. All right. Please mute everyone. Please, I cannot hear. Can someone turn down their music? I've already asked that. So hopefully everyone, you know what? I can mute all right now. There we go.
What? I can't get into the assignment.
Hold on. I'm going to get back to it. All right. Now, I'm going to go back to the screen share. Remember what I said earlier. If you cannot get into the assignment, you can go back and do it later because, oh, that's cool. Anyway, you can go back and do it later because I'm recording this and I'm going to put it on YouTube just like I did for the lessons earlier today. Apparently our 12 o'clock Zoom session did not work for many students. So Ms. Bunton recorded an earlier session and she put it on YouTube to help you do whatever page we are doing today in our journal. Okay. All right. So let's go back. Now let's do our assessment questions. Can y'all see the screen? Thumbs up if you can. Just hit the thumbs up. Okay, good. A visual thumb up works good too. Thank you. All right. Number one, which sentence describes the central idea of the text? Now, central idea means this article was mostly about what? Well, if you go back to the title, it says from pit to pond, from pit to pond. So let's look at an idea that looks like that. Here, this girl dug a hole. Did she think it would become a pond? In fact, she didn't even know it was a pond until someone said something to her when they wanted to add the fish. So let's look. A, surprising places can become good homes for animals and plants. Ponds make the best home for frogs and turtles. Humans should make homes for plants and animals. It is good for humans to save rainwater. Was this about saving rainwater? Shake your head, no. No. Was this C? Humans telling you, was this an argumentative essay telling you to make a home for the animals? No, wasn't about that either. Ponds make the best homes for frogs and turtles. No. It sounds pretty good, but it's not the best answer. Now look at A. Was this a surprise to her? Yeah, it was a surprise to her. It was surprising that this was a hole that turned into a pond. It was so surprising she didn't even realize it was a pond. So if you pick A for number one, remember you have to pick a quote for number two that best matches that. So you guys can go ahead and unmute yourself as we do for number two. Unmute yourself for number two. Okay.
Oh.
All right. Number two. Number two. Which detail from the text best supports the answer part A? Something that was surprising. Something that was surprising. A, the clay rainwater kept rainwater from draining quickly into the earth, so the pit slowly filled with water. B, they gently toss them into the water. Once the plants take root in the dirt, they'll start growing toward the sunlight. Again, I'm looking for a quote that's talking about this was a surprise that this place that was a hole became a life for a lot of wildlife. C, one day in late summer, I discovered dozens of baby snapping turtles crawling from tunnels in our hard-packed driveway. Or D, until that moment, I'd never really thought of the big bare pit in our backyard as a pond.
D.
Okay, Malia is holding up 4 fingers, so I'm gonna think that she's saying that's the 4th answer down. Answer down, I see a lot of heads shaking yes. I think I'm gonna go with D too, Malia. And many of you, Haley and Rafaela, I see you shaking your head yes, and Sophia, good job. Okay, Reese, good job. All right, so let's move on to question number 3 then. So, look at part number 3 says it's a part A2. So that means we got to answer this question and we got to pick a quote that matches this. Why does the narrator want to add lily pads? Oh my gosh, this one is so easy. Wanted to add lily pads for the what? What kind of creature, guys?
The frog.
The frog. So let's see if we can find one that talks about frogs. Is it 1, 2, 3, or 4?
She wants to make frogs happier.
3.
Okay, Haley's saying 2. Let's see, what else? Jaden's saying 2. Tegan, yeah.
2.
Reese,
2.
Emilia. I'm going to go with the frogs. There you go, letter B. Now she wants to make the frogs happier. Go find a quote that talks about the frogs being happier. Soon our backyard had a huge hole. No. Frogs like lily pads, I told Mom. That's about frogs, right? See, my grandmother dug up 2 water lilies from her small garden pool. Baby turtles scrambled clumsily down the hill to our water-filled pit. Well, D is about baby turtles. A is about a big bowl. I'm going to go back to number 3. Let me see what I picked. Why does the narrator want to add lily pads? She wants to add lily pads because she wants to make the frogs happier. We know she wants to add the lily pads to make the frogs happier because she says what? Which one, guys? Haley says 2. Malia and Sophia say 2. Michael says 2.
I agree.
I'm going to go with them. I think B is a better answer than C, only because it did not talk about the frogs in letter C. It did not support frogs. Okay. Now number 5. I want you to see something real quick. Ready? If you look, it says, how do changes to the pit influence the animals that live in it? Look at your headings. First, a big pit. Second heading, next, frogs and lily pads. Third, then baby turtles. And then the last one, finally, a pond. If you use those headings, they will help you answer question number 5. How do the changes to the pit influence the animals that live in it? So go ahead and start typing, please. I'll be right back. I'll give you guys 3 minutes, okay? 3 minutes.
What should I do?
Good, Haley. Okay, all right. So who needs more time? Raise your hand. Jaden Cretella, I've seen your head bouncing up and down for the last minute and a half. So what were you doing when you should have been typing your answer?
Common Lit's not working, and I went out and it says I have to complete the guiding questions before I have to do it.
Exactly. You were supposed to do the guided questions while we were doing the guided questions.
But I have them all. I have them all correct.
You gotta go at the bottom of it and then click continue. And then it will go to it.
Okay, go to the bottom of that screen like Romeo said and click continue at the bottom.
I got it.
Okay, thank you.
A, D. What's number 3?
All right, who else needed help beside Jaden Cretella? Anybody?
What's number 3?
I already chatted you the answer. Good try though, buddy. Read the chats. Read the chats. Asked and I answered.
I got it. Never mind.
Thank you.
Tee hee. Ha ha ha. If you laugh at 25 hours, you're out. Yeah, if I laugh, I'm out for 20. If I don't laugh for 25 hours, I'm out.
Thank you for helping, by the way.
You are quite welcome. Okay, just a reminder while I have you today, you did not have that much to do. People were asking me where is the quiz for chapter 19, but if you read all the expectations, you knew that you were only supposed to do half of chapter 19 today, and the other half of chapter 19 will not be until tomorrow. In fact, I have had actually no time today to even record the second half of chapter 19, which is over 20 pages long, which is why I broke it into 2 days. Okay, so the quiz will not be posted until tomorrow because I have not even read the second half of chapter 19. Okay, all right. All right, now if you saw the headings on that article, you should have seen the structure of the text. Now we are getting ready to go to the vernal pond, which is a weird word, vernal, V-E-R-N-A-L, vernal, which is strange to begin with because I'm like, what does that even mean? I had to look it up. So guys, this is not something Miss Bunn just knew. She had to figure it out too. So you guys are not alone in that. So here we go. Okay, life in a vernal pond, which is strange to begin with. And again, if you remember earlier in the school year, I told you to pay attention to these little gray boxes up here. These little gray boxes. In this text, Lori Wollerman Nelson discusses vernal pools. Vernal pools, here's the definition of a vernal pool, are temporary ponds that fill up in the spring and dry up in the summer. Well, that's kind of weird. That's kind of like up north when you have these frozen, these lakes that freeze in the wintertime and you guys can do ice skating on them. This is the opposite of that. This vernal pond is something that's there in the springtime when it rains a lot and it fills up and makes a pond, but in the summertime the heat dries it up, so it's dry. But then things keep living there, which I thought was kind of cool. that things can still live there. And what we're going to look at today is the life cycles of the different creatures. Mr. Cretella, I love you, but can you stop moving around so much? Because
Okay.
it's distracting to my eye when I look over to the side of my screen.
Yeah, my
It's
sister.
like a jumping beam. Okay. All right. Here we go. All right. I'm gonna have to mute all of you. Hold on a minute. All right, there we go. All right. Under the snow in a Massachusetts forest, a small flat patch lies in a clearing under the leafless trees. It doesn't look like a special place, but it is. This is a vernal pool, and you can see that in the picture right there, what it looks like. A woodland pond that fills with water in the spring, but dries out in the summer. Right now, it's asleep under a blanket of cold, but under the ice, life is stirring. Now, I want you to look at the structure of this text one more time. Just like our previous article, this is told in order, in sequence. The sequence starts in the winter. It's cold. There's ice there, but what's cool is there's actually little creatures living under the ice that can live even though it's very, very cold. Under the ice, they're living there and doing whatever they're doing. Unseen in a puddle of cold water under the ice, beetles crawl between thick layers of leaves. They are joined by caddisfly larvae in their strange house of twigs. Marbled salamander nymphs poke through the leaves, eating water bugs that brave the winter cold. Upside down fairy shrimp, no longer than your fingernail, flick themselves through the water. What happens in vernal pools during the winter? What happens in vernal pools during the winter? Hold on just a moment. Okay, I can hear all of you now and see all of you, most of you anyway. I'm going to
click on number 1.
one more time.
There we go. I think it is D.
Okay, I think I'm missing some people. Someone went bye-bye. All right. What happens in vernal pools during the winter? Life is frozen in place. Animals move on top of the ice. All life is killed from the cold, or creatures move below the ice. Okay, Valerie and Malia are saying, whoever is drawing on the screen, what is going to happen is I am not going to allow you to enter my group conversation. We understand each other. It is rude to me, and it is rude to your classmates. Okay, we're going to continue now. Okay, show me with your fingers. Choice 1, 2, 3, or 4. Okay, 4 it is. Good. Creatures move below the ice. All right, moving on. The next sequence, look, so first you had winter, now we're moving to spring. Okay? As the weather warms, water from the spring rains and melting snow transforms the muddy puddle into a shallow pond. Tiny eggs that spent the winter in the muddy muck begin to hatch, and soon the pond wriggles with mosquito larvae, beetles, and crayfish. Wood frogs have spent the winter frozen under leaves in the forest. Now they thaw and stretch their legs. Spotted salamanders crawl up from their underground tunnels. They are all getting ready to go to the pool to breed. Tonight is their big night.
Stop, kid.
There, take care of that real quick. I gotta mute some of you people because you don't realize there's noise in the background. Okay, so let's read paragraph 5 again. Wood frogs have spent the winter frozen under leaves in the forest. Now they thaw and stretch their legs. Spotted salamanders crawl up from their underground tunnels. They are all getting ready to go to the pool to breed. Tonight is their big night. On rainy nights throughout the spring, different species of frogs and salamanders, Justin, please stop, come to the pool to mate and lay eggs. Each species has its own big night when rain and just the right temperature triggered the urge to go to the pool. Frogs and salamanders cross roads and crawl over the snow to get to their favorite pools. Why the rush? They are in a race against the pool drying out, so they breed as early as possible, explains Matt Byrne, a biologist who studies vernal ponds. Guiding question number 2. Whoops. What happens to the pond in the spring? A, eggs hatch and creatures come to mate. Creatures leave as the temperatures increase. Do the creatures leave? No. Salamanders and frogs come out to eat. No. The pond starts to dry out. No, not in the springtime. So show me with your fingers, 1, 2, 3, or 4. Okay, yep, we're gonna go with 1. Okay. All right. All right, let's keep reading. Okay. Unlike permanent ponds, vernal pools dry out in the summer. This means fish can't live in them. And no fish makes vernal pools great places for amphibians and insects to lay their eggs, but they have to be quick. As they gather to find mates, frogs sing and salamanders dance. So in vernal pools, you're not going to have fish living in vernal pools because when the pond dries out, the fish will die. However, frogs and salamanders, they definitely can live there. They can live there. That's kind of cool. Rid up, and the little salamanders are like those little squirmy, slimy looking lizards, but they're not lizards. They're amphibians, I believe. Okay. Male wood frogs float in the water and call. Their loud chuckles draw females from all around. Under the water, male spotted salamanders dance and sway. They actually do this mating dance like Justin and Jaden have been doing. Maybe Justin and Jaden are showing us what a salamander looks like when it's getting ready to find a girlfriend. They sway back and forth. Yeah, maybe they're trying to find a girlfriend here on our Zoom chat. Yeah, okay, I think that is it, the answer. Somebody's trying to hide from me though. Oh, it's Reese. Reese doesn't want to be found by the salamander or the frog. Okay, good, let's keep going. Let's see. Male wood frogs float in the water and call. Their loud chuckles draw females from all around. Under the water, male spotted salamanders dance and sway, courting females with touch and smell. After laying their eggs in the pond, the adults return to the forest. All these eggs are a feast for hungry dragonfly nymphs. Oh, that means when they lay their eggs, the eggs actually feed another type of wildlife, which is kind of cool. Oh, it's Trevor! Ah! There's my boy. Okay. Okay, after laying their eggs in the pond, the adults return to the forest. All these eggs are a feast for hungry dragonfly nymphs, young marbled salamanders and turtles, but plenty are left to hatch. So that means they must lay enough eggs to feed other wildlife, but still have enough eggs to hatch to continue the life cycle so that new ones can be born. So now, if you look at your series of events, you had winter, spring, now we're going into summer. That's how this article is sequenced or structured. As the eggs begin to hatch, the small pool fills up with insect larvae, and larvae are like the little tiny worms that you guys see. They like little squigglies if you've ever seen them in the water, and little worms, like even flies lay eggs, and their larvae, we call them maggots, but it's still larvae. Okay. Salamander nymphs and wriggling black tadpoles. If you guys have ever looked at small ponds, you can actually see little tadpoles from the frogs. When they lay their eggs and they hatch, you got little tadpoles. Summer is a time for eating. Tadpoles scrape algae off leaves and sticks. Water insects dine on the old leaves. Tadpoles eat the salamander eggs, and young salamanders eat the tadpoles. Salamanders aren't picky. They gulp down anything that fits in their mouths. Once they get big enough, the tadpoles begin to change. They grow back legs. Now you guys know that tadpoles, they get rid of their tails and have 4 legs instead of just 2 front legs. Salamanders end up doing the same thing. They grow back legs, then front legs, and they finally lose their tails. Then it's time to hop out of the pond and start their new lives of frogs. They often all leave at once, bunches of tiny frogs hopping into the woods. Guiding question number 3. Guiding question number 3. In the summer, young creatures eat and grow. Creatures make a permanent home in the pond. Do they make a permanent home? Permanent home means they live there all year round. Think about that. Insects and amphibians find a new pond. Is that true? Or fish move into the pond. Can we have fish moving into a pond that dries up? No. So the best answer is 1, 2, 3, or 4. Justin, show me with your finger. Okay, number 1, let's see. Yes, young creatures eat and grow. All right, great work. Let's keep going. This march of amphibians is an important link in the forest food web. As Bern explains, those thousands of frogs that leave the pool get eaten by snakes, by mammals, by birds. Vernal pools take energy that came from leaves and spread it out into the forest on little amphibian lakes. When they say energy, they're not talking like snap, crackle, pop, like electrical energy. They're talking about food energy. These little eggs or these little tadpoles give energy to the other animals that live in the forest. As summer heats up, the pool starts to dry out. Frogs and salamanders transform into land-dwelling adults and leave the pool. Some animals, like tiny freshwater clams and beetles, burrow. Now, if you don't know what burrow means, that means they dig down into the mud and then they live there, where they'll hide until the pool fills again in the fall. Other creatures lay eggs and then die or fly away. Their eggs will hatch when the water returns. By the end of summer, the vernal pool is just a squishy patch of mud, but the party's not over quite yet. Guiding question number 4. What happens to the creatures in the pool as it starts to dry up? They lay all their last eggs and die. They live in the dried up pool. They leave the pool, hide or die. They burrow underground and wait for the next year. What happens to the creature in the pool as it starts to dry up? Okay, I see 4, I see 3. Okay, I like 3 better than 4 only because it says pool, hide, or die. So they can actually leave the pool, they can hide in the pool, or they'll die in the pool. Let's see. Yeah, now I'm going to be honest with you. D is a good answer. D is a good answer, but C was the better answer, okay, just to be honest. All right, let's go on. Now, the last sequence of events, we had winter. We started with winter, spring, summer, and now we are into autumn, or AKA fall. Leaves on the trees turn orange, yellow, and red and cover the muddy pool for the next generation of insects and tadpoles. But there's still time for one last dance. Now it's the marbled salamander's turn to gather. Males dance, encouraging females to mate. There isn't any water to lay eggs in, so females make nests on the sides of the muddy pool, under logs, rocks, or moss. So let's read that again. The marbled salamanders are gathering again in the autumn. They're dancing. They're trying to find a girlfriend or a wife. And they are going to lay some more eggs, and they make nests on the sides of the muddy pool, under logs, rocks, or moss. The mothers curl around their eggs, picking off bits of fungus and driving away hungry ants or termites. Soon autumn rains, so now it's going to rain again. It's going to fill up the pool again. Each salamander nest floods, and the eggs will hatch in the water, and the mother leaves. The young salamanders have to fend for themselves now. but they have a head start on the other salamanders that hatch in the spring. The eggs of caddisfish, flies, and fairy shrimp laid in the months ago also hatch in the newly filled pond. Young caddisfly larvae build themselves houses out of the twigs stuck together with silk. Beetle larvae crawl between the layers of the leaves. Other eggs don't hatch yet. They wait until spring. Soon temperatures drop and the snow begins to fall. The pond freezes over and sleeps under a blanket of cold, but under the ice, the life is stirring. So the life cycle is starting again. So now it's the end of summer, winter comes, and we start all over again. So guiding question number 5. In autumn, more eggs are laid and hatch. The pool is quiet. The pool starts to freeze. All creatures wait. No. The salamander lays more eggs and they hatch. And then at the end of autumn, then you go back to winter and the article starts all over again. So now we are ready for our assessment questions. Here we go. Ready? And again, show me 1, 2, 3, or 4. Which sentence describes the main idea of the text? Which sentence describes the main idea of the text? This article is mostly about a vernal pool, so you better have vernal pool in your answer. Okay. You better have about life cycles and how it changes, because it went through winter, spring, summer, fall. So which one of those has vernal pool and the lifestyle and the life cycle changes through the different seasons? Okay, Sophia's saying 3. Sophia's saying 3. Kayla's saying 3. Haley said 3. Malia said 3. Valerie's saying 3. Callie is saying 3. Reese is saying 3. I'm going to have to go with 3. C, Romeo. Yes, correct. So vernal pools go through changes that are important to the life cycles of the organisms that live there. I'm going to have to go with letter C like everybody else. Now, before you go on to part B, read letter C again. Remember, you're looking for vernal pools, a quote talking about them going through changes and the life cycles of the organisms that live there. They start out small like eggs, larvae, then tiny animals that feed on the other eggs of other animals through the different seasons just to survive. Okay, part B. Which detail goes with part A? A, they are in a race against the pool drying out, so they breed as early as possible, explains Matt Byrne, a biologist who studies vernal pools. B, their loud chuckles draw in females from all around under the water. Male spotted salamanders dance and sway, courting females with touch and smell. C, as Byrne explains, those thousands of frogs that leave the pool get eaten by snakes, by mammals, by birds. D, as summer heats up, the pool starts to dry out. Frogs and salamanders transform into land-dwelling adults and leave the pool. Okay, so I'm going to go back to what I picked for part A. Vernal pools going through changes that are important to the life cycles of the organisms that live there. I'm looking for changes. I don't see any changes kind of there. I kind of like A. They're in a race. I don't like B because it's only talking about them mating and trying to find a mate so they can breed again. Leave the pools getting eaten. That's not really about the life cycle changes. Letter D, the season is changing here. It says as summer heats up, the pool starts to dry out. Frogs and salamanders transform into land-dwelling adults and leave the pool. Okay, let's see. All right, let's see here. I'm thinking, I'm giving you guys a chance to think. All right, what do you guys think? What's the best? I don't think it's B or C. Let's eliminate B or C. What do you think the best answer is between letter A and letter D? And remember, we're looking for something that shows a change. And we're talking about a life cycle change, like going from an egg to an adult. Which one shows that? Going from an egg to an adult, a lifestyle change. All right, I see a lot of 4s up on the screen. I see a lot of 4s and not a lot of 1s. I am going to have to go with number 4 then, because I think that is the detail that's going to support that. I think that is the detail that's going to support that. Okay. All right. All right, now. Uh-oh. All right, let's go on to question number 3. Question number 3 says how, oh, you guys know this one. How is the information organized in the text? When we look at the organization, let me share the screen real quick with you guys. When you look at the organization of this text, we started out with an introduction. What's this article going to be about? Then it went from winter. Then it went from spring. Then it went to talking about what happens to the life cycles in the summer. Then it went to what happens to life cycles in a vernal pond in the autumn, in the fall. So now we're going to go to question number 3. How is it organized? What is the structure of this text? A, the author discusses life in a vernal pond, one species at a time. They only talked about the frog in one paragraph. And then in the next paragraph, it might have talked about the salamander. In another paragraph, it talked about the beetles. I'm not sure that's true. B, the author describes how life in vernal pools has changed over the years. Is it talking about how it's changing over years of time? Okay. C, the author describes what happens in the vernal pond during different seasons. A little bell should be going ding, 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 ding. Or D, the author compares the benefits of life in the vernal pond. The benefits, the good things of life in a vernal pool. Okay. Okay, good. All right. So I think you guys are right. I didn't know this button could do it, but it showed me your chat real quick. Letter C, I see a lot of number 3s up in the air, which we're going to say is letter C, and I'm going to have to agree with you guys. I agree. Number 4, which of the following needs to happen between the hatching? Okay, let's see. Which of the following needs to happen between the hatching of salamanders and frogs when they leave the pool? So I want you to go back and reread what needs to happen between the hatching of the salamanders and frogs when they leave the pool. What the following, well, don't they need to eat? If they've hatched, don't they need to eat? Let's see right here. As summer heats up, the pool starts to dry up. Frogs and salamanders transform. I don't think that one's it. Let me see if I can read earlier. Okay, so let me read the question again. Which of the following needs to happen between, so this is a sequence of events, between the hatching of the salamanders and frogs to when they leave the pool? Okay, let's see. Don't they have to grow legs? Okay, I think as the eggs begin to hatch, the small pool fills up with insect larvae, salamander nymphs, and tadpoles. They eat the tadpoles. Tadpoles eat salamander eggs, and young salamanders eat the tadpoles. They aren't, and they gulp down anything that fits in their mouth. And once they get big enough, the tadpoles begin to change. They grow back legs and front legs, and they begin to lose their tails. Then it's time to hop out of the pond and start their new lives as frogs. They often all leave at once, bunches of tiny frogs hopping into the woods. Okay. All right. So I'm going to go with, let's see. They get strong enough to protect themselves. Did it say that? They're going to get eaten by a bird. Do they fight off the bird? Whack, whack. No, I don't think so. All right. They leave behind their own egg. What? They leave behind their own eggs. What happens between the hatching of salamander and frogs and when they leave the pool? They lose their tails and grow legs. Oh, I hear that bell. Ding, 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 ding. Or they look for new homes in the forest. Did it say they went to go find a new home? Did it even say that? So I got to be honest with you. I think 3 of these answers are ridiculous. What do you guys think it is? 1, 2, 3, or 4? Oh, look at there. I see. What do I see? All right. I see some C's and I see some 3s. So C and 3 are the same thing. Very good, guys. All right. Last question for today. How is life in a vernal pool related to life in the rest of the forest? Well, when it says the word related, this is, they want you to tell, kind of like through compare and contrast, what is happening in the vernal pool compared to what's happening in the rest of the forest. What's happening in a vernal pool that compared to what's happening in a vernal forest. So for example, in a vernal pool, is the life living there all year round? Is it living there all year round, or is it only really living there parts of the year and then things bury into the mud when the water goes away? So like the rest of the forest, the animals just live there all year long, right? But in a vernal pool, certain things have to exist in different seasons. So go ahead and type your answer. And then I'm going to unshare the page and I'm going to have a couple of you share out what you said.
This is a long one.
Door all 3 locked, please.
Yes, where is it? Yes, come in. Yeah, you get a lot. Yeah, sure. Tell me. Go outside and tell me right now. I'm just kidding.
Okay, is someone ready to share out what they wrote?
Who is it? Oh, I did this.
Yeah, throw it to the-
I'm dying. Shut up. Oh my God.
Anybody? Reese, did you want to? Because you'd have to unmute yourself if you want to.
I just said that in the forest.
I had a hard time because I did the self-check out all my stuff. That way I wouldn't have to worry about anybody touching our stuff.
Can you hear me?
No, because I need other people to mute their buttons if they want to hear what you have to say. Okay, Reese, go again.
I said in the forest, the animals live their own lives and are not put on, not like changing as much as the animals in the pond, as because the animals in the pond, they keep changing and growing and adapting to their environment as they grow older.
Okay. Another thing you might want to add, everyone, is that actually a lot of the creatures in the vernal pond will also be food or slash energy for the other animals of the forest too. So don't forget that part, that when these animals lay their eggs, other animals of the forest will eat those eggs. When they turn into the little tadpoles or even frogs or salamanders, they will also be food for other animals of the forest. So the animals The creatures of the vernal pond will also be food for animals of the forest too. So you might want to add that. Please don't forget to add a quote to get a better score on your answer. And does anyone have any questions about anything that's going on earlier today in any of your lessons, why you guys are still typing? Anybody have any questions? Okay, well, if you have no questions, I will see you guys tomorrow. If you do happen to have a question later on today, please don't forget that you can message me on EDB, and I usually respond within a couple of hours. I do have to run some quick errands because there are some of your classmates that never got their journals out of my classroom, and I get to go deliver them like a mailman.
Really?
Yes, really, because that's how I roll.
Wow.
Because one
That
of your
sucks.
classmates told their parents that they don't have any work to do because they don't have their journal.
Oh.
Yeah, I don't get that because I tried to make it very easy for you guys to continue doing the same kind of work you were doing, not creating new lessons, right?
Yeah.
And don't forget that on the EDB channel, not the EDB channel, I'm so sorry. On the YouTube channel, I have recorded my reading, my videos for reading and how to submit work, and also some Zoom sessions. So if your classmates ask you, hey, I missed ELP this afternoon, what happened? You know, you guys don't have to sit there and give them all the answers or help them. You say, oh, you can go to our YouTube channel and you can watch the video of the Zoom chat. Okay? All right. Okay, guys, I will see you tomorrow then if there are no other questions. All right. Tegan wanted me to unmute everybody. Okay, Tegan, I unmuted you.
Bye.
I was just doing that because I was wondering why everybody else was unmuted and I couldn't unmute myself.
Oh, okay. I don't know why. All right. Bye, guys. See you tomorrow.
Bye.
Start phone.